All right, so what I'm going to demonstrate today is how I created my candy. This is for a presentation that I made for somebody that I was interviewing, and I just decided that it would be a good idea to show them how I could work in Illustrator. So I went to the website and I found this picture that shows some of the product that they produce, and I decided I was going to try to create something similar to that using Adobe Illustrator. And that's what you see over here. So I have two parts to this. Part one is where I'm going to show you how I created this, the first piece, and then the second piece, this piece right here. So this is the first part. And before I do this, there's a couple of other little things that I did to make my job a little easier for me. And one of those things is to create color for this. I mean, obviously, since I have a bitmap here, it would be very easy for me. As you can see, I got some swatches with color. It would be very easy for me to come over here and click with the eyedropper tool and choose some of the different colors. See, there's one of the colors. There's another color. Here's another color. You can just come in and sample some of these colors and then just drag the ones that you like in, and now you've got that color. That's one way to go about doing it. The other way would be to go to Adobe Cooler. So I'm going to come up here and, oops, I didn't want to open that one. I don't like this. I like this one. Here we go. And I'm going to search for, I think I might even have it over here. Let me see down at the bottom here. Do I have it? Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go look for it. Adobe Cooler. A-D-O-B-E-K-U-L-E-R. Enter. And Adobe Cooler comes up. I come in. Am I signed in? Yes, I'm signed in. Okay, so I'm signed in. So how I handled this particular thing is I'm looking for chocolate colors. So I'm going to go to Explore, and I'm going to type in up here chocolate and hit enter to do the search. And it's going to bring up a bunch of different colors that different people have created with the theme of chocolate. And then, of course, what I do is I just kind of look through all of these, find one that I like, and I've found two or three that I like. So let me just pick one so that I can show you. And let me pick one that's really strange and different. I don't like this caramel color very much at all, but the reason I'm doing it is because I want it to be a standout. So I'm going to hit save. And now it's saving to my library, and I'm going to leave it called caramel chocolate. Okay? And it's going to go into my library. Okay? And I think, let's see, I'll probably want to go with my library. Let's just leave it there. And I'll hit save. All right, now that I've done that, I think I can just come right back into Illustrator, and I can go to the window menu and open up my swatches. And the swatches are already open. And I'm going to look for my, there we go, my color themes. Now look at right here. There's Varda 2 and Varda 3. So you can see these are colors that I already saved in here. I can synchronize this or refresh this. When I refresh it, it's downloading the color theme, and I don't see it. I guess it didn't come in. Okay, so now it looks like it didn't. Up there it is. Well, that's not the one that I chose. All right, it didn't come in. I basically probably have it in the wrong color theme. I probably would have to go back in and put it in my other color theme, or for some reason it just isn't coming in. I don't know why it's not coming in. It should come in. Anyway, that's how you do it. Those are my colors that I chose for this. So you can either sample color to get color, or you can go to Cooler and you can download Cooler. In order to do that, you need the swatches panel, and you need this right here, which are the color themes panel. For some odd reason, I'm not getting my color, and I don't want to waste a whole lot of time on it, but it basically will work. So let me move on. All right, so anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create this, and then I'm going to show you how to create this. So candy number one, there's candy number one, and as you can see, I brought candy number one in here, and this is what candy number one looks like before I use the 3D. So essentially, your job would be to create that profile right there. And you create that profile, obviously, with the pen tool. It's really not so difficult. What I did essentially was I dragged the guide out, and I grabbed my pen tool, and I clicked, and then I came around to the side like this, and I clicked, and I dragged a shape that I thought looked very much like what I was going for with my candy, and then I clicked here again, and then I came over to my guide, because you want to create an even profile, and I clicked to create the bottom of this thing the way I want it to look. Okay? Now, I really didn't do a super deluxe job on this, and I would have to tinker with it to get it to look like that. But just keep that in mind. I'm only showing you this as a way to give you an idea of how I approached getting that profile. That's all this is. I'm going to use this profile to render my object. This is just a quick idea of how I made it happen. All right? So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to hit delete. And I'm going to focus on this guy right here. So there's two things going on here. Number one, there's the 3D, and then there's the mapped piece of art. So the mapped piece of art, let me just briefly talk about that real quickly. I'll come in here to my symbols panel, and you'll notice that in my symbols panel I have this thing called Light Swirl. What it is, basically, it's a piece of art that is on a transparent background that I'm going to apply to the top of my Revolve when I get done. So let's look at that real quick. Double click on it, and now what happens is, since this is a symbol, we've opened up the original symbol, and we can edit this if we wanted to. This is made of two parts. It's made of a circular shape which has no color on it, no fill, no stroke. It's just basically a circular shape, no color. And then it has the swirling line. I used the swirl tool over here to create, or the spiral tool, to create my line. I just click and I drag this thing around until I get it about the way I want it. Okay, you can play with this and adjust it to your heart's content. I didn't go to a lot of trouble with it because I figured it would work okay with me. There's my swirl. And then what I did was I came into my brushes. I'll go to Window, go to Brushes. Where are you? Brushes. And I went into my brushes and I opened up Artistic Calligraphic. And I believe I used this guy right there. Click on that. And you know what? That's what I use. So there is how I created this. And I also put a little bit of a drop shadow on this, which you could do. Go to the Effect menu. First, you got to reselect this guy. Go to the Effect menu and go Stylize and Drop Shadow, and hit Preview. And you can see that this is pretty much the same. These are the settings, 50%. This is just what I use. I'm not saying you have to use this. This is just what I use. 50%, I have an X offset of 0, and I have a -2 Y offset. And I used one blur, so it's a soft blur. And then I went in and I picked this color. And I used this color right here, HSB. It relates to one of the colors that came from Cooler. I put it in. It's 28 for H, 63 for S, hue, saturation, and 41 for brightness. And I get that color right there. So that's basically where that shadow came from. And this color here is another Cooler color. All right, so I'm just going to cancel this because I'm just demonstrating how I did it. And this thing we got to get rid of because I don't want it into my symbol. So that's basically how I made that symbol. And I'm going to come back into my art, go back to my original art, and close this down because I don't need it anymore. And this as well. Close it down. I don't need that anymore. The one thing, though, I do want to show you is, in case you don't know how to do this, how to create a symbol. So your symbol panel is right here. And you'll see that I have one symbol in it, which is the light swirl symbol. So what I'm going to do is just make a very simple shape. Make an ellipse and drag an ellipse out, and I will probably give it a fill. There we go. And what I'm going to do now is select it. And again, this is just a demonstration of how you go ahead and make a symbol in case you don't know how to do that. Click on it and drag it and drop it into your symbol panel. What happens is you get this panel, which essentially gives you the opportunity to name and choose a type for your symbol. So I'd call this oval, again, just to name it. And I would change it from movie clip to graphic. And I could also change the point of registration, which I don't necessarily want to do, so I'm not going to bother messing with that. And hit OK, and now you've got your symbol in there. It says oval, and what happens here is this becomes an instance. This is no longer the original piece of art that you created. That's gone, and this is an instance which is more or less created from your oval, which is your symbol in here. Okay, you can create as many of these as you want by just simply dragging them out onto your desktop. Now you've got 4 symbol instances from your symbol. So I'm going to hit delete on that, and I'm going to hit the can on that one because I don't want it, and I'm going to hit yes, and now that's gone. So really what we're dealing with here to make this is just that little shape here. And if you look at my colors, if I go into my colors, let me close this back for a second. If I come into my colors here, first of all, this particular one is a new document. So you'll see I got all these colors in here. This is another thing I don't like. So what I'll do with this is I'll come up here and click on this, select all unused, and then I'll hit the garbage can. You want to delete the swatches? Yes, and they're all gone. And there's a couple of colors in here that sort of stick, so I get rid of those colors. Okay, and now I click on this guy right here, and there's a chocolate brown that I'm using, and I'm going to drag that in there. All right, now the other thing is if I go to Window, I can go to Color Themes. Here we go. My color themes. Here are my color themes. These are 2 color themes that I went to Cooler and pulled out from Cooler. So one thing that I could do here, if I wanted to use these color themes, is I could start off by, I could probably just do it with this. Click on that, click on my color, and then drag that color in, and then click on that color, and drag that color in, and then click on that color, and then I can drag that color in, and I can load all, I like that brown right there, so I'm going to grab that brown and drag that brown in. So now I've gone into my color themes that I went and copied down from Cooler. And just so that you understand, when I went into Cooler, I searched for chocolate. That's what I searched for. I did a search for chocolate. And I found chocolate, a number of different choices. These are 2 that I thought would work okay, so I saved them to my color themes. And then, of course, when you hit synchronize here, whatever color themes you picked that you haven't brought in yet, click on this and it refreshes them and brings your color theme in. So that's essentially how I did that. Alright, so now I got my profile here, and I got my profile with this nice chocolate color right now. It's a stroke. We're not going to put a fill on this, so this fill has to be none. And you have a stroke, and that stroke right there is a nice chocolate brown. Let me get rid of this. We don't need it. That's basically what we need to create this guy right here. Now when I do this, this is a slightly different color brown, so it's going to be slightly different. If I want that brown right there, I'm pretty sure that that's that guy right there. That's the brown right there. So I'm going to try selecting that brown. That's black. I'm sorry. It's this one. There you go. That one there. This should end up looking very much like this. All right. So now that you've got your profile, this is all you need to render this in 3D. So it's selected. Oh, and one other thing. Go to the window menu and let's open up appearance. I think it might be out already. Yeah, the appearance is out already. The reason I have the appearance out is because we're going to edit this in the second step, and I want to show you that you can go in and you can re-edit this thing by going into the appearance panel. I'll explain that more in a minute. Go to the effects, and we're going to go to 3D, and we're going to go Revolve. And the Revolve panel comes up, and the first thing that you want to do, there's your profile. First thing you want to do is you want to hit Preview, and boom, it's just that quick. There it is. Your shape has been rendered. You've got a 3D shape, and you've got 3 different ways that you can manipulate this in space. You've got this, which is more or less like an icon that shows you your surfaces. So if I click this and if I drag this down like this, watch what happens to my object. Isn't that nuts? And I can turn it this way, and I can get any 3D direction that I want on this. It's absolutely cool. I'm having a ball. There's my shape. Now you can also come over here and you can spin these guys, and this will also move it around in 3D. You can do that. Or you can go the easy way, which is a lot of times just what I do, come into custom rotation, and I'm going to go off axis left, and I think that's pretty much, let me hit OK. That's very close to what I have there. I think I actually made a custom on this, but that's close enough for our purposes. Now you'll notice that I closed out of the panel and I have my rendered object, but I don't have it lit properly and I don't have my element on top of it. So that means that I want to go back in and do some more work on this. I did this on purpose because it's important for you to understand. When you have this selected, you never want to go up to the effects menu and go 3D, extrude and bevel or revolve. You never want to go back in because what this will do is it'll apply a second one to it. And you don't want to apply a second one to it. What you want to do is you want to select it. You want to go into the Appearance panel, which is Window, Appearance, and you want to double-click on the 3D Revolve, and now your 3D Revolve panel comes back up. But what it does is it makes you want to reapply it again. So now I've applied it. And one of the things that I just want to very briefly touch on here is the surface illumination. So what I would do here is I'd come over and I would play around with my lights, position my lights wherever I would want my lights to be. I can also add lights. As you can see, I'm adding some light to this. And I can add a third light. And now I've gotten something which is fairly illuminated. Then what I can do is I can come in and I can play around with the intensity of the lights. As you can see, I've knocked it back quite a bit. I can also play around with the ambience overall of the lights. I'm going to try bringing it up. And I think it's a very subtle thing, but if I drag it the other way, you might see it better. Yeah, it gets darker. All right, now the highlight intensity, it's at 60. I can bring it way up, or I can bring it way down. And I find where I want that intensity to be. And then, of course, the blend steps, I can increase the blend steps or decrease them, which I think probably increasing them makes more sense. And then, of course, you're just playing around with the lights until you get the lights to do what you want the lights to do. That's the key to this whole thing. And then, of course, shading color, you can come in here and you can pick a custom color to shade this. And you see how it automatically goes to red. If I want, I have numbers. If I knew the numbers off of this thing here, I could put those numbers in for hue, saturation, and brightness, and I could get a lighter chocolate color, like say that lighter chocolate color, or that color right there. So you could either use color or hit cancel. You can come back and use shading of none, okay, which makes no sense whatsoever, or shading of black. I use shading of black for mine, but again, you could go in and use something other than that. And that light isn't exactly this light. I don't want to spend the time that it takes to make those lights do what they're doing, but you get the general idea how to do this. Okay, so now we're ready to come in and work with our symbol right here. What we want to do is we want to place that symbol onto this. So once again, this guy here is selected. We're going to click on 3D Revolve. And we're going to hit preview. And now we're looking at our revolved object, or rotated object, or 3D object. And we're going to go to the map art area of this. There's two little things that we need to work with up here. And one is the symbol drop down and the other is the surface drop down. So if you click on this, you'll see that there's none and there's light swirl. I did this specifically so we wouldn't get confused. So there's only light swirl in there, which is what we're going to put on this surface. If you drop this down, if you click on this, you're going to see that there are 6 surfaces. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through those surfaces until we find the surface that we're looking for. And if I'm not mistaken, the one that I'm looking for, I think is the 6th one. Alright, so there's the 6th one, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to hit Light Swirl, and there's Light Swirl. So Light Swirl now has been applied to this surface. It's not in the right position, but we're going to fix that. You come over here, and here's your little Light Swirl graphic. Remember, it's on a transparent background. So what we're going to do is we're going to just move this around, and you can see as I move this around, it's moving around on my object. So what I want to do is I want to bring it up towards the top. And I'm getting close to where I want it. I want it about there. That's pretty good. But it doesn't cover enough ground. So in order to make it cover more ground, I'm simply going to drag this guy over like this. There we go. And this guy over there like that. And now I maybe drag it down a bit. Let's see if we can get more on the surface. That's good. Move it over. Move over. I'm good with that. Hit OK. That's good enough. And then hit OK. And there we have our 3D piece of candy with the surface decoration applied to it. I have another video I'm going to be doing in a moment, and that will be the candy number 2. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this.